Right. Peace and love, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Artist Storytelling Podcast, where we are reshaping the narrative associated with Black life, one interview at a time. And as y'all saw that beautiful illustration over the Brooklyn Bridge, we got Brooklyn in the house today. You understand? Let me put my hand over my heart. Let me tuck my chain in and act like I know. You understand? I'm in Brooklyn presence. So
Yeah.
we got Brooklyn's flyers in the building. She's here to share her amazing story around my research questions. She loved me enough to say, "I we could talk about that. I guess you
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying. I guess."
I'll give you a
So
little access.
you know what I'm saying. So I'm like, "All right, let's get into Brooklyn's flyers." The aspirant, the beautiful mastermind in the building, Helena Lebron. Welcome to the Artist Storytelling
Thank you
Podcast.
for
How you
having me.
feeling? How
I'm
you
excited
feeling?
to be here. I'm so ready to tell my story, get it out, and let everybody meet me and see what I'm about. What you
That's
got
what I'm
for me?
talking about. All right. So I was looking through my full cell files in my mind, and I was like, I haven't been on campus. I'm an online student over there, so I don't know the campus experience. I
Yeah.
don't know the full cell gambit. I just see the greatness from afar. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying? So I
Okay.
was like, so for you, what does it mean to be black at full cell? We could take as long or as little as you like to answer the questions. Kind of
Um,
start with that.
it's it's hard. I mean, I would say finding your, and I'll speak from the heart, finding like your people and your comfort, I guess I would say is hard. Um, I've been in the school for 3 years now. So going from one degree to another, I know and I've seen both aspects, I guess I would say. Like being in recording arts was a lot of, you know, white, predominantly white men. Moving to media communications, it's very broad, very open and diverse. And so, I mean, my experience now compared to when I was first in the school, it's different. um, I feel a lot more connected. I would say I would use as the word. The connection is stronger. Um, but I mean, to me, being black on campus just means inclusivity. Um, not feeling like you're on the sidelines and just taking a part of everything, saying yes to everything. I think comes a lot with being black on campus.
Excellent. So I wanted to back up for a second because I think I got so excited that I jumped the gun a little bit. So initially, out of everywhere in the universe that you could have went, what brought you to Full Sail University?
Um, ooh, I mean, what brings everybody to Full Sail? You know, it's a it's a easy but personal question because it's like everybody's response is going to be different. Mine, I would say, was to build something for myself. I come from New York, Brooklyn. Um, went to college out there, was studying criminal justice, thought that was my thing, and it wasn't. I've always been growing up, I was always a out the box kind of child. Like I was the weird student in school who always did all the extra stuff and did too much, and I was never a one job kind of person. So I knew that I didn't want to just get a degree for one thing. I knew that I needed to be in a place surrounded by people like me who know what it feels like to want to do more than one thing, and Full Sail is that place. Like if you want to be in a place where everyone does everything, Full Sail is for you. So,
So that makes sense. So you went from the realm of criminal justice in New York and was like, I'm
yeah,
about to get on a plane or a bus or a train or a
yeah,
bicycle or a skateboard and go to Florida.
yeah. It was a really fast transition, and I tell everybody this. I was in attending Iona College in New Rochelle in New York, and I was studying criminal justice and minoring in law. Wanted to be a lawyer, work with like kids, things of that sort. Um, I just I think my not issue, but my concern with it was that I always get really disconnected fast. Like once I feel like it's not connected with me anymore, I get bored and I just don't want to do it anymore. So I knew that once I felt disconnected, I knew that I wasn't going to enjoy it. And so it was super late. And I remember telling my mom, like, I think I'm going to move to Florida. And she was like, bye. And I was like, okay, I guess. Bye. So I left Iona, applied to Full Sail, got in, got an apartment, moved out here that Friday. So this was a 7 days worth plan of being a criminal justice student to now being, at the time, a recording arts student to now media communications.
So that's interesting. So your time now at Full Sail, you get there in this field, and you want to be Pharrell, or you want to like what did you want to do
Like
over there? In
okay,
this,
I wanted to be Labyrinth. Like if we're gonna get into detail, I thought that I was gonna be the next Labyrinth, producing the hot tunes on the low, because that's how Labyrinth is. He does his things on the low, and so um I'm not an on stage presence person. Like I knew from a young age that I was gonna have stage fright, and being in front of people wasn't gonna be my thing. And I knew that I wanted to do behind the scenes. So I'm like, music producer, I can be in my own little room, my own little booth, and not be in everybody's face and not be worried about everybody looking at me, but also making sure that my craft is being put out there, my craft is being seen. And then after a while doing that, making music, I was like, this isn't really, I'm not finding joy in it anymore. And so it's not that it's not something that I wouldn't do. I love music, and everything that I do for my career is music based, but I don't think that I would make music forever. And so that's why I ended up deciding not to do just music production, but something along the lines of music in general, which is live events, artist and relations, podcasts, things like that. So that's where we're here.
so this shift in thought over here, what was that transition like going from this audio sound production type of universe into this media communications field?
It was stressful, but also freeing, I would say. Stressful because again, I didn't want to disappoint anybody in terms of I, I I was supposed to graduate maybe like 5 months before I switched from recording arts to media communications. So I basically almost did the whole entire program. So I didn't want to disappoint anybody or make anybody feel like I'm giving up in a way. But it was also freeing because now I know that I'm not crazy for wanting to do more than one thing. Like this program is built for people like me who want to do more than one thing, who wants to tap into everything, not just one thing. And it's freeing because now I don't have to worry about being the odd one out. Like when I walk into a class and I talk about doing one thing and then doing something completely different, I'm no longer the weirdo. I'm no longer the one on the corner like being stared at because they're like, why is she trying to do all this extra stuff? And so that's what I would say my transition was like. It was hard, and it was in a way stressful, but really, really freeing.
So if you look at one program to the next and the black experience per se, in person, live and in person,
Yeah.
how would you say your presence was treated? Was it a I don't want to muddy it, you see,
Oh yeah,
because I'm
yeah,
talking to a lawyer. You understand? I don't want to, I don't want to lead the
yeah.
witness over here.
I
So just
um it's tough. It's tough because it wasn't horrible. Like I know people who have had really bad experiences being black on a college campus, not just Full Sail, just in general. Um It wasn't horrible, but I would say it's really intimidating. I think is the word that I can use. It's really intimidating when you're the only girl in the room, or the only, and make that the only black girl in the room, the only female, the only, and that goes for everyone. If you're the only black man in the room or the only man in the room, you're going to feel some type of intimidation, because now everyone is looking at you because you are one of one in that room. You are now one of who you are. And so in recording arts, it was a lot more intimidation and fear, because I'm in a room with all these men who are already put on a pedestal, already put on this standard where they're like, you know what you're doing, you're great at it, but I'm a woman, so but you're a woman, so let me see what you can do. Can you make your work as good as them? Are you as proficient as them? And that's always playing in the back of your head. You always have to, not that it should always be in the back of your head, but for me, it was always in the back of my head, thinking, am I going to be able to meet their standards, the man standards? And it's like, why do I have to meet their standards? So now that I'm in media communications, the only standards that I have to meet are mine. I don't have to meet a man's standards, because it's so diverse. They're men and women, and we're all trying to do completely different things, but they all intertwine. So I'm not much so being intimidated anymore, but more being taught, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that.
Makes perfect sense. Okay, perfect. Perfection in the sense world. Okay, perfection in the sense world. So you being on campus, was Full Sail affected by some of the events that we were affected by, being black in America? You know, so if we're going back, we're thinking about maybe like 2020, 2019 time frame, all the way up.
Yeah.
Like the George Floyd situation, the
Yeah.
pandemic situation, the
100.
inflation, or was Full Sail like, how was Full Sail in response to that directly? I don't know. I can only speak about indirectly.
It's excuse me. It's hard because I want to be as transparent with you. I want to be honest. Like, from my personal experience, more could have been done in terms of the conversation. And that's what my personal project is, actually, for my portfolio this month, for Black History Month. Just starting a conversation, being uncomfortably uncomfortable and having a conversation. You know what I mean? And so I would say, for example, when I first started Full Sail, it was virtual. I was online. So when I first moved out here, recording arts was online. My first 6 months was online. I'm not an online student. I am not good at learning online. I am a hands-on person. I need to be able to see and touch and feel what it is you want me to learn and do. So I got a little taste of that. And then I got the taste of coming on campus and also experiencing, with everything happening on the outside, with the police brutality, and it wasn't really discussed, if I'm being honest. And if it was discussed, it was being discussed by me and maybe two other black classmates, but no one else was really discussing it. Not that I heard of. A lot of the conversation that I had about it was outside of Full Sail. It wasn't in Full Sail, on Full Sail, during Full Sail on campus, if it wasn't with another fellow black individual. Like, it, I don't know, I'm not talking down on it, but I think the conversation could have been held on to a little longer. Like, certain things could have been talked about longer. Like George Floyd, I heard about it maybe once or twice when it happened on campus, and then that's it. Like, nothing was really discussed, or maybe I just wasn't doing enough research to put myself out there and hear more about it. But I wasn't, nothing was brought to my attention in terms of things like that. And so I don't know. I mean, I think everything starts with a conversation, but it's hard because there's so many things that go into play. But I personally feel like there's always more that can be done. more can always come from it.
Okay. I love this concept of be uncomfortable, getting uncomfortable,
Yeah,
getting folks out of their comfort zone. I
yeah,
think the academic experience is supposed to challenge us in that way to,
yeah,
become comfortable being uncomfortable.
right.
So
That's what it
I
is.
didn't like what I saw in the mainstream media and the entertainment industry in specific in regards to the narrative associated with Black life. So it's like, okay, am I going to complain about it or am I going to do something
Do
about it?
something
So
about it. Right.
providing spaces to document real life experiences from our people is a motivation. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So this is where I find myself in a space in a lane for the rest of my life. So
Right.
you know, for now, if you can share, where's some of the places where you see yourself, you know, beyond the scope of full sail? What brilliance and what greatness do you want to
Um,
attain?
I like what I want to learn or what I would want to give other people. Just so I can clarify.
Let's do both. Let's do both.
Both? Okay.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
both of them. Let's do
okay,
that.
we'll do both, both at the same time. Okay. I would say to give other people is to just like I'm really big on self-control right now for yourself. So I would say, where do I see myself? I just want, this is hard. Okay, I would want to learn a little bit of everything, but I think what I would want to take outside of Full Sail most is just the confirmation of being comfortable with yourself. I think is a really big thing for me. Like to not to shy away from everything else in general, but I just think I'm really big on conversation. I love talking to people and starting new conversations and meeting new people. And I think if you can take that from Full Sail and use that with you forever, you succeeded. You need to be able, everything starts with a conversation. Everything you think you do in life starts with a thought, which leads to a conversation, which leads to an action. And so I just think if I can take anything with me and want to continue to learn anything is how to continue to have those conversations, how to grow those conversations and make them stronger. And if we're bringing it back to the creative aspect of things and my creative outlook, talking about it, putting it out there, my creative outlook is planning, having conversations, making notes, writing things down, getting ideas onto paper. That's my creative outlet. And so I would want to learn more of that, but I would also want to teach other people that it's okay to not be the person that wants to edit or do the audio or do the photography. Like, it's okay if you're just the person in the background taking the notes or doing the research or writing things online. Like, I think that's a really important thing to talk about because I'm coming into contact now with a lot of on campus and online students who want to do just that. They don't want to do the editing. They don't want to do the putting compiling videos together and getting the audio together. They just want to do the planning. And if I can be a leader or a representation of what that looks like, then I think that I did my part. I succeeded. I don't know. I don't know if that made any sense.
It definitely made perfect sense again in regards to that because somebody has to bring people together. You
Right,
could be a grand connector, in that place. So like a liaison. It's like, okay, oh, you need a planning person. Oh, okay, you need an audio person. You need a visual person. You need a person that could do the interview. You need a host. You need this. Somebody has to have that strategic kind of mind to be able to put those people together and have a reputable, transformative type of experience.
right.
So you can take strangers, with their particular skill sets and put them together.
They
That's
run
a
to
coach.
and create art.
That's a coach. A coach puts the team together and then formulates the plays,
Right,
for the players that are on the team. to learn the team concept, and everybody does what they do well, and everybody executes in their particular
Right,
lane
right.
within the specified time frame. And
The
this is what
blend.
victory looks like, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
this is what victory looks like. This is what success looks like in that space. So I see that, you know, from you, and I see that kind of net worthing capability. I know we talk about networking,
yeah,
a lot, but net worthing, increasing people's net worth in
right,
regards to their relationships, which
right.
real wealth is. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's
So,
important.
what's your dream job? I want to get in your dream job business right now, if I could.
Um,
I want to know what that looks like.
I'm still mapping it out, but if I can give you a idea or a vision or like an image, um, it would be I want my own company. Um, and I'm starting a podcast called Artist to Artist, hopefully. Thank you. And hoping to take that into my A&R consulting goal, hopefully. I like I said, I love music and the feeling it gives me when I make it, listen to it, hear it, feel it, see it, experience it. And so I know that I can use that to help other artists. So why not artist to artist? Let me help you find your way. So hopefully my goal, the image I'm trying to paint is a artist to artist A&R consulting company where I can help artists on the low who I feel like because there are so many artists who don't have the platform that they should have. That their music is that their art is amazing. Like their craft and their talent is amazing and they're not being given the light they deserve because the light is being put on so many other artists too. And I'm not talking down on artists' talent. All art is art. Artists create art and they can do what they create. But there are some people who you just know and feel can make a difference with their work and they're not being given the time or the access to do that. And so why not build an artist to artist consulting company where I can help them do that? I have so many vision boards for artists that I'm like maybe if like their PR team could do this and they can get this, or if they did this on a tour they can do this. Like I do that all the time. Like I'm home all the time listening to music and I'm like, wow, this concert will be great if it had XYZ, or this show would be amazing if this artist, their vision board and their outline was XYZ. Things like that make me excited. I like doing the before because when I get to see the ending product I get a different type of rush. I don't know what it is. And so that's the goal. Podcast host, artist and relations consultant, live events creative director. Just anything that I could do to make things happen. That's the goal.
Let's fly. Let's fly. So you're gonna have an art cast.
Yeah.
They be like podcasts or this cast.
Yeah.
You're gonna have an art cast. That's
Yeah.
what I
I
heard.
want
I
I
heard
want
that
it
anyway.
really like broad. So the podcast will be like art cast. That's actually like that's really nice. I like that. Art
You
cast.
said it.
Yeah.
I heard you say it, and then I just said it out
I don't
loud. Like,
even
yeah,
remember
art
saying
cast.
that. Yeah. I mean,
It's fly.
art, I think it's just that there are I feel like money right now, and I'm not trying to go off topic, but artists nowadays think that they need millions of dollars to create art. And going back to who I am and where I come from, like I don't come from millions of dollars. The people that I know don't have millions of dollars to make their dreams come true. They do it with what they have. And so it's like there are so many artists now coming out of Brooklyn or coming out of New York that are doing things in their bedroom, like in their bathroom. And it's like there should be platforms like that. Platforms for people like that where artists who are just trying to create their craft shouldn't have to go and pay $70 to use a software. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make it easier for artists who don't have it like that to have it like that, because they got it like that, they just don't know it yet. If that, I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, there's so much room for creating your art in the four walls of your room. You can do so much. Get a camera, get a phone. You don't need a camera. You have your phone. You get a small little microphone and a speaker, and you're set. You can do so much. And I'm also learning that now too. Like, I have always been very big on comparing myself to other people. And so I know what it's like to constantly think like, damn, they have all this equipment and their work is amazing, and I'm here and I'm doing work like this, but my work can be just as amazing. Your work can be just as amazing if you just make sure you put in the work to make sure it's amazing. You don't need money to craft out a number one a music video that could be on the charts for weeks. There are artists doing it now all the time, and I just think it's it's important to speak about that, because I things like things like that, becoming famous and discovered by record labels, don't happen to people like me often. People that I know, it doesn't happen often. And so I feel like that's like, it shouldn't be that hard to like get your art out there. It's your art. You should want everyone to see it, and it'll reach your audience eventually. And so that's the goal, to just try to show people that it's okay to not be there yet. Like, I'm a very fast-paced person. I get anxious when I don't know the future, when I don't know what's going to happen, and it's okay to feel like that. Like, that's normal. It's okay to be anxious. You want your future to go the way you want it to, so you have every right to be anxious. So my artist to artist company hopefully will allow people to be like, you know what, you're anxious, I am too. Let's come together and mesh our anxiety and make something great with what we got. So hopefully that's the goal that I can do.
You're definitely already there. You're definitely already there. That the physical is the last place where things manifest. So
Yeah.
you're making things happen. You're doing the work. You're being dutiful
Thank you.
to what you said you were going to do long after the feeling you said you were going to do it in has left.
Yeah.
Because this takes discipline, this takes sacrifice, this takes, disciplining your disappointments and,
Yeah,
setting realistic expectations. These are all of the takeaways that come from this environment.
sure.
Who and what you're doing these things for are important. So
Right.
for me, every time I'm like, yo, because the burnout gets real. You know, that's
Very,
something I wanted to talk to you about.
very,
Especially being in two different programs.
yeah,
Uh, surviving the burnout and kind of outlets for that, and
yeah.
managing those types of situations. And is
It's
it
hard.
different for you in that space? You know what I'm saying? Like being a sister, like in that environment, like Escape had that song back in the day. It's called "Who Can I Run To?" Like who can you run to? You
Yeah,
understand what I'm saying? Like
it, it's
who do you
hard.
run to?
It's hard, and I think you can touch on this too as well. Like, being a black man, and you're in a normal household, you're looked at that you have to be firm, you have to be strong, you have to, when you have burnouts, don't let it look like it's a burnout type thing. And so, me, I was grateful enough that my mom and like my dad, when he was around, like raised me to accept the burnout. Like, I'm so grateful that I was raised to be able to take it. But I know not everyone's experience is like that. Burnouts are hard. Me personally, I would say the aftermath of a burnout is harder than the actual burnout, because coming out of a burnout is so complicated, because you're now disconnected. That connection is severed to a certain extent, and you're now trying to figure out how to rebuild that link, that connection that you had, because the burnout happens from lack. I from personal experiences, the burnouts that I have had have come from lack of connection, lack of the lack of really wanting to do what it is I was doing at that moment that caused the burnout. So I think, yeah, being a black woman, having a burnout is hard because now I'm weak. I'm complaining. I am trying to make myself feel like I should have it easier because I'm a black woman, but that's not the case. It's just I get tired. We get tired just like everybody else. I'm pretty sure you can speak on that where you get tired and sometimes you just need a break. Sometimes you just need to take time to be with yourself, to be with one, to be with you, you know? And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like I have been told so many times that burnouts are not healthy. And I think burnouts are healthy. Like if you have a burnout, you are a healthy individual because you are allowing yourself to know I'm doing too much and it's time for me to fall back just a little bit. It's time for me to take a break. But that can also be hard. Like me personally, when I'm not doing anything, I feel lazy. Like when I'm taking a break, I feel like I'm not getting enough done. But you learn that after a while, it's not that you're not getting anything done, you're just prepping yourself to be ready to get more done, you know? And so I would say, yeah, being a black woman or being a black man for you as well is probably super hard to have a burnout because in the back of your head, you're so used to the norms of being a black person when having a burnout. You're weak, you're sensitive, you're emotional, you can't handle anything. And that's not the case because I'm a strong individual. I can handle anything. But the strongest people sometimes needs breaks. And if you have a burnout and you feel like you're wrong for having a burnout, you're not wrong. You're in the right, and you have every right to feel like you need a break. And when you want to take it, take it.
Profound. I'm writing down life coach. I'm writing down motivational speaker. I'm writing down author. You know, I'm writing down art cast. All of these things. Like
This is
this.
all a learning process. This is I'm still learning so much from having this conversation with you and having more conversations. Like I'm not trying to portray that I'm perfect because I'm not. I had a burnout 2 weeks ago. Mental breakdown, the whole shebang, crying and upset. I can't do it anymore. I'm gonna quit. Da da da. But you learn for yourself how to learn from that. And you're gonna always learn. And I just think it's so like I love that you brought it up that we're having this conversation. Like, can I ask you, like, how do you handle burnouts? Do you go in your mind sometimes and like think to yourself like I'm weak? Do you feel like that or do you just let it happen?
Well, the word for this month for me is resilience. So, and
Okay.
the word of the month before that was remember. You have to remember why you're here. Remember. My apologies.
Okay. You're good.
There's a lot going on for 1 second. The word of the month for me was resilience this month.
Okay.
In PPX we had to have a word of the month, and
Right.
PPX 3 my word was remember.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
so the closer I get to graduation, the rougher the climb gets. You see what I'm saying? You get towards the summit or the peak of the mountain, the rougher the climb gets. So we have to remember, we have to bring your resilience. Now is not the time. Like it's darkest before the dawn. Like you could see the light coming at the end of the tunnel, but it's still a journey to get there. You see what I'm saying? And then every end is a new beginning. So what's going to happen there?
Right.
So in that space, how ready are you? How prepared are you? Like you were saying, from one experience to the next. So know that that natural part, what I came to the realization was I took my cues from nature.
Yeah.
We inhale and we exhale. The tides, they ebb and they flow. The
Right.
planets go in grand precession and regression. So they
Mhm.
have precession where
Right.
they travel, and then retrograde where
Right.
they recess. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? So a reset is necessary. We're not up 24/7, even though
No.
most of us, you know,
No. Exactly.
have us doing what we're doing, but we
Your
have to
brain
be able
rest.
to take that time. And then I think a key point element, excuse me, that comes to a realization that I can agree with is that you are okay. Like when you're taking a break, you're taking a break. Like you really have to be present in that break. Like you're not thinking about all of the stuff that you have to
Yeah.
do because it's
Yeah.
not a break. It becomes a burden. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That break space becomes a burden space because you've burdened it with all of the things that are in your mind. Your
Right.
thoughts become things, and those things have a space because they have a resonance. So just like those other determined ideas that make things great and that have
Right.
you motivated, these are the things that have you demotivated and demoralized just
Right.
within your own mind. You know,
Right.
so
And
you're
you
looking at yourself,
you don't even know you're doing it too. Like it becomes
right?
a discreet thing that you don't know that you're doing it.
Right. And the beautiful part about it is that's necessary
Right.
because you said you wanted to do something. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
because you said you wanted to do something, that
Right.
uncomfortable space that you was talking about walking people into, like, yeah, that uncomfortable space begins in your mind.
Yeah, it
You know,
does.
so like with the Art of Storytelling podcast, I started to look at these stories, like, okay, these stories are important. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So the storytelling podcast is linked to that experience. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I see these narratives out there. If I wasn't seeing these narratives, I wouldn't recognize the value in the stories that are associated with Black life. Like, I don't like what I see. I don't like what I hear.
Yeah.
I don't like what's being spoken about. I don't
Right.
like how it's being presented or misrepresented.
Right.
I don't like it at all. You understand? Like
Right.
it vexes my spirit. So now I'm I'm here on the counterbalance to say,
Change,
okay,
changing the
you know,
conversation.
right. So
Yeah.
everybody from Brooklyn is in a certain kind of way. You like you don't even know. You understand what I'm saying? Like so
Yeah.
these generalizations that are based off of that begin to group people to cause division, to cause separation, to cause all of these things, these are things that could be used as fuel as
Right.
well to just like those negative self thoughts and all of these other things that are there that are counterbalances, they start off as tests, but they become blessings. Like, yeah, I appreciate that.
That's
You know
right.
what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
appreciate that, and you're living proof of that greatness. So,
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
so the balance space, the self care space, like, does this happen? Like, is this a priority in your life? Is
Oh,
this should this be a priority in Black life, and especially for those people at Full Self University? You know what I'm saying? Like, can you talk about that?
100%. I I am taking I take it took me a very long time to get here. Like, and that's why I'm not trying to make it seem like I was always there. Like I was never always here. Like who I am right now, who I'm introducing you to, who you're meeting, is not who I was when I first started Full Sail. There is a lot of growth, and I took a lot of time to grow and heal personally outside of school before I can heal and education wise in terms of career wise. So yeah, 100% I would say that it it's bittersweet because I am good at taking care of myself and the healing process and things like that, but then when it gets hard I tend to shut down. So being a black woman, my mom, my grandparent, my grandma was very stern, but she was stern because she knew that being a black woman, you had to walk around with a little bit of extra oomph. You had to walk around with a little bit more. Uh, she used the word like control in your hand, and so when I feel like I'm not in control, I feel like I'm not healing. If that makes any sense. And that's a growing thing, that's not always the case, but I don't know, I just think being a black woman on campus, it's hard because a lot of my healing is done on the sidelines, like on the low, not with friends, with people, because I have that, excuse me, that fear in my head that maybe they won't understand, because a lot of the times that I've had conversations with individuals, they just don't understand. So it's hard, it's hard. But I'm slowly allowing myself to realize that if it's okay if they don't understand, as long as you have the conversation and you put it in their mind, they're going to be thinking about it. So something sparked, something happened, and it'll be nice to be understood. And I'm like having this conversation with you, I feel most understood, and you're listening and understanding, and it's an amazing feeling. But I think, being a black woman on campus, it's a little different because a lot of the things that I deal with on my own. I try not to show people on campus what I'm going through because I'm on campus, and I don't want you to know that my life is possibly falling apart at home, but when I come to school, you're going to think that it's perfectly fine. But that is just me being a strong, independent black woman. But you learn, and I'm learning that it's okay to be sad, and it's okay to be upset outside in public, and it's okay to feel a certain type of way as a black woman. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to put on a strong, brave face all the time. I'm allowed to feel weak and vulnerable, and I'm allowing myself to do just that. And that's where I'm at now. That's the me that you're meeting today.
Flyness, okay? Clap it up for
Thank
Brooklyn's
you.
flyness, okay?
Thank
Flyness,
you.
flyness, flyness, flyness. All right. So with these last few minutes, if you had to make a video for black people coming to full sail, whether they're faculty, whether they're students, whatever kind of range that they're going to be, or whatever kind of space they're going to operate in,
Yeah.
what message would you give to them?
Don't let your surroundings or other people's lack of awareness affect your creativity and your creative outlet. Meaning, if you're in an environment as a black individual, and I'm speaking to like our fellow black, brothers and sisters, if you feel like you're in a room where you're not welcomed, you're in the right room, you know, because you're going to have the biggest impact. Like my mom the other day told me this, and she was like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You know what I mean? So I would say put yourself in uncomfortable situations. Stay in the rooms where you don't feel welcome. Stay in the rooms where you feel on the side, because when you showcase what you can do, when you showcase that, yeah, I'm on the side for now, and I'm not being understood for now, when I am and my message gets across, it's going to be heard and it's going to be felt. So I was saying, be uncomfortable, be vulnerable, be in a sensitive situation, in a sensitive position, because when you're not, you're going to be so ready for all the people who try to tell you that you don't belong there, because you do, because you sat in the room where you didn't belong already. You already sat in the room where you weren't being heard, and you're going to be heard now, and you're going to make sure that you are. So 100%, I would say be uncomfortable. Be uncomfortable being uncomfortable.
Flyness. Do you have a final word for
I
the
would just say
people?
thank you for, this. I've really needed this. Like this, I have been in a funk for such a long time, and I'm now starting to find my people, and I'm so glad that I found you and that I was able to meet you, because now we're going to be friends forever, like you are stuck with me. So, brothers, sisters, I got you, and I'm just grateful that you're allowing people a platform to share their story. And I hope that one day I can hear yours and maybe ask you some questions and hear how you will continue leading and healing amazing people, and I'm just really grateful. So thank you for allowing me to be here and showcase who I've become. It's an eye opener for me too, for sure.
Definitely. So this is, it. So you got a brother in me for life. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? So however it goes, I'm here
thank you.
to
I totally
talk,
appreciate
to
you.
speak my speech.
For sure. And you keep speaking your speech, okay? Like, you yell it, say it loud. This is great. You're doing an amazing thing. You're really doing an amazing thing. There are so many people who don't feel like they can't tell their story, and you're changing so many lives by giving them this time to do that. So, genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Honest.
I
Honest to you. We
appreciate.
are out of here. Artist Storytelling Podcast, another banger from Brooklyn's
Hi.
flyest and